Everyone, welcome to Unacademy, India's largest online learning portal for the preparation of competitive exams. My name is Neelam and I'm going to be your facilitator and guide for CAT and other management exams. In today's session, I'm going to talk about one more passage which appeared in CAT 18, and with that, I will also have a discussion on some phrases and words which appeared in that passage. So, you're only 3 days away your exam, and you must be feeling a lot of jittery. So last 3 days, what is it that you should be doing, and what is it that you should focus on to maximize your performance or to stay confident? There is a session that I made for last minute tips for CAT 2020. On this channel only, you can find the link for this channel, for this session, and watch the video in order to feel more confident about your performance. And before your exam day, that is 28th of November, I'm going to have one more brief session about what you should be avoiding in the examination hall. All right? But before that, let's begin with today's agenda, that is CAT 18 passage discussion. Let me give you a brief introduction of myself. I possess around 12 years of experience of test preparation industry and have trained students of CAT, GRE, GMAT, SAT, IELTS and TOEFL. My areas of expertise have been English and verbal reasoning. I also had the opportunity to design and set assessment papers of English for the preparation of competitive exams. I served as an examiner for an international organization. Recently, I have authored a comprehensive book of English for the preparation of competitive exams. This video is brought to you by Unacademy. Let me take you to its portal and tell you how you can be part of this and start your preparation for competitive exams. You have to go in the Play Store of your mobile phone and download Unacademy Learning app. Once you fill in all the details, you will be shown 3 categories of courses: 1, plus, free courses, and special classes. If you have this app in your mobile phone, you can attend all the special classes which are freely available. You can also attend the classes which are given under free courses. But if you want to go for plus courses, and if you want to attend classes for CAT, you have to subscribe and go for CAT courses. When you go forward and go in the subscription, you will be shown all the features that you will be availing when you subscribe to this course. Features such as 30 hours of live sessions every day. So this gives you enough freedom to choose the time of your classes, choose the choice, choose the educator of your preference, as well as the course that you want to attend. The specific part that you have identified as your weakness, you can attend those courses in order to consolidate your concepts. These classes are delivered by 14 plus top educators across India. These educators possess wealth of experience of guiding and mentoring students in their respective domains. These educators have also been taking exams themselves in order to understand the real structure and the pattern of exams. The courses which are delivered by these prominent educators are well structured and well designed, having fine balance of conceptual clarity and testing so that you are prepared for your exam. Every month you see a new course being launched on Unacademy portal so that every requirement of a course is fulfilled. Once you go for the subscription models and decide which model of subscription you want to choose, you can choose it as per your plan of the preparation. So if you are going for CAT 2020 and want to attend classes for those exams which are going to happen in December and January, such as IFE, TIS, ZAT, you can opt for 1 month crash course. If you are going for other exams which are going to happen till March, you can still go for 3 months course. But if you are preparing for CAT 2021, you can apply, you can opt for 1-year subscription. The charges are very pocket friendly and best in the industry. If you want further 10% discount, you have to type the reference code NEELAM. With that discount, you will be able to avail further 10% discount. Right? So what are you waiting for? Go download Unacademy app, attend classes, see what quality is delivered by the educators there. If you are contented, subscribe to Plus Classes and start your preparation. Alright? So that is about Unacademy. Let's start with today's session, that is CAT 18 passage. As I have been discussing, ever since I started discussing these passages, I discussed all passages of CAT 19 and now I have picked up CAT 18 passages. I have been giving you the sources of these passages. Now this passage, which is fairly doable, easy passage, was taken up from a magazine called World Histories. The passage was based on history. Luckily, it was based on Indian history. So there is a magazine, online magazine, World Histories. The author name is Srinath Raghavan, who wrote this article in May 2017. And this article was picked up by the examiner of CAT to give you as one of the passages of your reading comprehension section. Alright, so as I have been saying, you read newspapers, you read editorial of the newspapers, you read magazines, you read journals, you read books. So you have got to be a voracious reader in order to excel in the reading part of CAT as well as other management exams. Alright, so you cannot confine to reading one stuff or sources of reading, right? So you have to have a wide ranging reading habit. Then only you can expect to excel in this part. All right, let's start with the passage. I'll give you 30 seconds to read one paragraph. The passage has 5 paragraphs. The last paragraph is the smallest paragraph. So I'll give you 30 seconds for each paragraph. See if you are able to make out the content and the meaning of the paragraph. Let's start with the first paragraph and 30 seconds. Alright, the time is up. I give you 35 seconds to read this paragraph. Alright, I'm going to read it out and explain to you the meaning. The Indian government has announced an international competition to design National War Memorial in New Delhi to honor all of the Indian soldiers who served in the various wars and counter-insurgency campaigns from 47 onwards. So nothing complicated in the first part of this paragraph. So Indian government ने decide किया है एक National War Memorial दिल्ली में बनाने के लिए to commemorate the contribution of those soldiers who served in different wars and counter-insurgency operations. So counter-insurgency operations, they were not full-fledged war, वो पूरी तरह से युद्ध नहीं थे, counter-insurgency which happens on borders. So उनमें और युद्धों में different wars में जिन लोगों ने अपनी लाइफ को सेक्रीफाइस किया है इंडिया के लिए, उनके कंट्रीब्यूशन को याद करने के लिए वॉर मेमोरियल जो है वो दिल्ली में बनाया जा रहा है. The terms of the competition. So this competition is organized by Indian government. So the competition is to build the design of National War Memorial. So the terms of the competition also specified that the new structure would be built adjacent to the India Gate, a memorial to the Indian soldier who died in the First World War. Now this new memorial, the new war memorial, उस कंपटीशन की जो नॉर्म्स है उसमें ये लिखा है कि जो ये नया मेमोरियल है वो कहाँ बनेगा, वो फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर का जो मेमोरियल है दैट इज इंडिया गेट, उसके एडजेसेंट दैट इज उसके आसपास बनेगा, उसके क्लोज टू बनेगा, ठीक है। उस कॉम्पिटिशन के नॉर्म्स में ये लिखा है। Now comes the author's point of view here. Here he has given the data, he has given the details. What he feels about these details is his idea. Between the old imperialist memorial, that is First World War memorial, because First World War was imperialistic. That time India was colonized. And the proposed nationalist one, the proposed war memorial, which is proposed by the present government. India's contribution to the Second World War is airbrushed out of existence. So in दो war memorials के बीच में एक memorial जो imperialistic यानी ब्रिटिशर्स को फेस रिप्रेजेंट करता है, सेकेंड मेमोरियल जो नेशनलिस्ट अभी की जो गवर्नमेंट को रिप्रेजेंट करता है, दोनों के बीच में ऑथर का ये कहना है कि इंडियाज कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशन टू द सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर, जो इंडिया का योगदान था सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर में, उसका एग्जिस्टेंस एयरब्रश्ड कर दिया गया है, उसके एग्जिस्टेंस को एक तरह से मिटा दिया गया है, राइट। सो ऑथर इज नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट वॉर मेमोरियल. Author's main idea here indicates he is going to talk about India's contribution to Second World War. इन दोनों मेमोरियल्स के बीच में ये मेमोरियल की जगह कहीं नहीं है. Alright, so here comes author's point of view, and in second paragraph he takes this idea forward. Read it. All right. So the second paragraph says the Indian government's conception, the idea of war memorial was not merely absent-minded. So here comes our author's point of view about this war memorial. It is not only absent-minded, rather it accurately reflected the fact that both academic history and popular media have yet to come to terms with India's Second World War, which continues to be seen as a little more than mood music in the drama of India's advance towards independence and partition in 47. Quite a long paragraph. Nonetheless, the whole idea expressed in this paragraph is that ये जो war memorial बनने वाला है, it is not only absent-minded. So author is disapproving this whole idea of erecting a new war memorial. Rather, he says ये करेक्टली इस चीज़ को भी रिप्रेजेंट करता है कि कितनी आसानी से हमने पॉपुलर मेमोरी से सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर के कंट्रीब्यूशन को भुला दिया है. जिस तरह से हमारी एकेडमिक हिस्ट्री है, हमारी एकेडमिक हिस्ट्री में भी हमें ये नहीं पढ़ाया जाता है कि सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर में का भारत की तरफ से क्या कंट्रीब्यूशन था. एंड पॉपुलर मेमोरी हम बिकॉज हमने ये पढ़ा नहीं हमारी एकेडमिक हिस्ट्री में, दैट इज वाई वी डोंट एक्चुअली रिमेंबर इट. सो द पॉपुलर मेमोरी that have yet to come to terms with India's Second World War, जिसको हमें ये बताया जाता है कि it was just a mood music, it just set the tone for India's independence. This is what we have been taught in our schools. The Second World War was just a prelude to India's independence or India's freedom struggle, right? So mood music जो ये word author ने यहाँ पे use किया है, that is just to express his thought that how underestimated the contribution of Second World War has been in India, right? So what we have been taught in our academics is that it was just to set the mood, it was just to set the narrative, the tone or the backdrop of the India's independence struggle. Further, the political trajectory of post-war subcontinent has militated against popular remembrance of the war. Now, जो political trajectory, जो political course हुआ 47 के बाद, उसने भी इसकी पॉपुलर रिमेम्बरेंस को होने नहीं दिया, यानी लोगों को ये याद नहीं रहने दिया कि एक्चुअली सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर में इंडिया का कंट्रीब्यूशन था. With partition, 47 में जो partition हुआ and the onset of the India-Pakistan rivalry. With partition, the दुश्मनी की जो शुरुआत हुई इंडिया पाकिस्तान की, both of the new nations needed fresh stories. So they easily forgot the story of Second World War because after partition there was a rivalry and they needed fresh and new stories for self-legitimization. अपने existence को legitimize करने के लिए दोनों countries ने नई stories को जो है बताना शुरू किया एंड बहुत कन्वीनियंटली वो सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर को भूल गए जो उन्होंने कलेक्टिवली लड़ा था, rather than focusing on shared wartime experience. That time when Second World War happened, both the countries were united, so they had shared wartime experience. So instead of focusing on that, they started focusing on their own individual stories. So author ये reasons बता रहा है कि क्यों actually ये सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर के कंट्रीब्यूशन को हमने भुला दिया, ये सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर में इंडिया के कंट्रीब्यूशन को हमने इजीली भुला दिया, राइट. सो बिकॉज academic, it was lost in the popular memory. Second, the political trajectory, what happened right after 47 also in a way led to the loss of the memory about Second World War contribution of India. All right. So second paragraph is talking about why it happened. Third paragraph, again 30 seconds. Right. So this Third World War is now talking about how India contributed in Second World War, right? The Indian Army recruited, trained and deployed some 2.5 million men. So the military might. Almost 90,000 of which were killed and many were injured. So India actually lost so many people in this war. Even at the time, it was recognized as the largest volunteer force in the war. Largest among all the forces, among all the countries which were involved in that war, India's force were considered the largest voluntary force. India's material, financial contribution to the war was equally significant, not only by men or not only by these soldiers, but the material and financial contribution to the war was equally significant. India emerged as a major military, industrial and logistic base for allied operations in Southeast Asia. So the war which was fought in the entire continent, India became the military, industrial and logistic base for all the allied forces which were fighting the war. This led the United States to take considerable interest in the country's future, India's future, and ensured that this was no longer the preserve of the British government. Now, because of this, America realized how important India is, because Southeast Asia and Middle East, इस पूरे पार्ट में, इस पूरे एशिया के कॉन्टिनेंट के पार्ट में इंडिया को बेस बनाया गया फॉर लॉजिस्टिक, फॉर मिलिट्री एंड फॉर इंडस्ट्रियल इक्विपमेंट, राइट. सो इस तरह से अमेरिका ने रियलाइज किया हाउ इम्पोर्टेंट और हाउ स्ट्रैटेजिकली इम्पोर्टेंट इंडिया इज, एंड उसने ये इंश्योर किया कि इस वजह से इंडिया सिर्फ ब्रिटेन का प्रिजर्व नहीं होना चाहिए, एंड यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स स्टार्टेड टेकिंग एक्टिव इंटरेस्ट इन इंडिया, राइट. So this paragraph ends with this idea that how important India's contribution was. इतने soldiers भेजे, largest volunteer force थी, इतने soldiers की death हुई, around इतने ही injured हुए, same time material and financial contribution भी significant था, right. So this is how this whole paragraph is focusing on how important India's contribution to the Second World War was, right. Now, yeah, this is Okay, so this was a long paragraph. I hope you went through it thoroughly and understood the content. I give you 50 seconds for it. Now, let me read it out for you again. However, the Second World War played a crucial role in both the independence and partition of India, and wartime developments pointed in the direction of India's independence. The author says here, so India's contribution to Second World War was huge. The previous slide. Now this is talking about the Second World War's contribution to India's independence. वो भी कम नहीं था. It played a crucial role in the division of India as well as in the in the independence of India. Now, in a stunning reversal of its long-standing financial relationship. Now, please understand this line. Now, a long-standing financial relationship India और Britain का क्या है? That India owes money to Britain because India was colonized by Britain. So, in a stunning reversal of its long-standing financial relationship with Britain, India finished the war as one of the largest creditors to the imperial power. So, stunning reversal क्या था? कि Britain जो है now owed money to India. India became the creditor, one of the largest creditor, जिसको Britain को पैसे देना था because financially and with all the resources India contributed, gave a lot of money to Britain to participate in the Second World War. So this was a stunning reversal. Long-standing relationship ये था कि Britain को India को जो है Britain को money देना था, but it was a reversal. Because of this war, now Britain had to give money to India because of the India's contribution. Second, such extraordinary mobilization for war was achieved at a great human cost. So a lot of human lost lives also were endangered, right? So here, such extraordinary mobilization, the above sentence which talked about the huge money which India spent, this happened at the cost of a great human loss, right? A lot of people also lost their life with the Bengal filling, the most extreme manifestation of widespread wartime deprivation. So this example is giving how many people actually lost their lives because the money which could have been mobilized to agricultural reforms in Bengal was given to Britain for wartime preparation, right? So because of that, a lot of people lost their lives in Bengal. The cost on India's home front must be counted in millions of lives. Millions of lives were actually lost because of this thing. Indians signed up to serve on the war and home front for a variety of reasons. Many were convinced that their contribution would open the doors to India's freedom. क्यों इंडिया ने participate किया? इंडिया के soldiers ने participate किया? Because they were convinced that this is going to open the door for India's freedom. राइट अगर इंडिया अभी सपोर्ट करता है तो बाद में ब्रिटेन हमको जो है वो फ्रीडम देगा. द पॉलिटिकल एंड सोशल चर्न triggered by the war was evident in the massive waves of popular protest and unrest that washed over rural and urban India in the aftermath of conflict. So Second World War के बाद जो एक मूवमेंट बना, उसकी वजह से जो नेशनल प्रोटेस्ट था, जो प्रोटेस्ट अगेंस्ट ब्रिटिशर था, उसको एक बहुत मोमेंटम मिला. बिकॉज सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर के बाद जब ब्रिटिशर्स की और ब्रिटेन की हालत इंडिया में ख़राब थी, बिकॉज दो दे वन बट एक्चुअली दे फेस्ड ह्यूज लॉसेस. सो उसकी वजह से वो इंडिया में ना तो कंट्रोल बना पाए और सेम टाइम मोमेंटम हैड ऑलरेडी बीन बिल्ट अप इन इंडिया बिकॉज ऑफ आफ्टर सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर. उसकी वजह से नेशनल प्रोटेस्ट जो है वो फ्रीडम फाइटिंग मूवमेंट को काफ़ी मोबिलाइजेशन मिला. दिस टर्मोइल was crucial in persuading the Attlee government, Attlee was the then Prime Minister of Britain, Attlee government to rid itself of the incubus of ruling India. इस पूरी चर्निंग ने, इस पूरे टर्मोइल ने, इस पूरे विद्रोह ने, उथल पथल ने जो सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर के बाद इंडिया में क्रिएट हुआ, उसने एक तरह से एटली को मजबूर किया इंडिया से छुटकारा पाने के लिए, दैट मीन्स इंडिया को फ्रीडम देने के लिए. सो दिस पैराग्राफ इज बेसिकली टॉकिंग अबाउट हाउ Second World War led to the freedom of India as well as to the partition of India, right? So all the details, I hope you went through all the details because the whole idea is there that how Second World War contributed to the partition and freedom of India, but there are enough details about how many people died, where they died, and what was the reason in a lot of soldiers participated in Second World War. All right, last paragraph. Let's finish it off in 20 seconds. All right. Now 70 years on, it is time. Now ये time आ गया है 70 साल के बाद that India engaged with the complex legacies of the Second World War. So it's complex legacies of Second World War. So why it is complex? Because we have been taught that it was just a prelude to the freedom of India, whereas it has more importance. So it's complex. Bringing the war into the ambit of the new National Memorial. So the National Memorial that he started this passage with, the first paragraph, उसी वॉर मेमोरियल में सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर के सोल्जर्स को भी दिया जाना चाहिए. That is what is author ending this whole passage with. He says, bringing the war into the ambit of the new national memorial would be a fitting, if not overdue, recognition that this was India's war. This was not Britain's war, it was India's war. Because of the losses, because of the people who lost their lives, and because of the contribution it led to India's freedom struggle, and because of the money and all the resources that India contributed with, right? So author here, the whole point which started in first paragraph, that it has been airbrushed, the contribution of India in Second World War has been airbrushed, finished with this paragraph stating that in this war memorial there has to be a place dedicated to the soldiers who contributed in Second World War, right? It would be fitting. Okay? So this is how author ends this passage, right? I hope now we have crystal clear idea about the whole argument and all his details, all his evidence and the examples that he has given to support his main idea, that is Second World War should also be recognized as India's war. All right, now let's start addressing the questions. Question 1. The author suggests that a major reason why India has not so far acknowledged its role in the Second World War is that. Now in the second paragraph, if you remember, when he started expounding on his main idea that Second World War has been kind of expunged from our memory because we have not been taught in our academics, we have been taught it as something which set the mood for national freedom movement, right? So in that paragraph only, why it had happened were explicitly stated, right? So let's go through the option and see if we are able to eliminate some options here. Wants to forget the human and financial toll of the war on the country. So was that the reason? Possibly not, right? Because why India has so far not acknowledged? Because academically and popular memory, from popular memory, it has been vanished. Second, it has been focusing on building an independent non-colonial political entity or identity. Let's hold it. It could be an answer because both the countries, in that paragraph only, it was also stated by the author that both the countries wanted to start their own stories because they wanted to legitimize their own existence. Why India came into existence, why Pakistan came into existence. And in doing so, they conveniently forgotten what they collectively fought with Britishers, right? So that was also stated in that paragraph. That is actually supporting this option. So let's hold it. 3. It views the war as a predominantly allied effort, with India playing only a supporting role. That is just contrasting author's point of view. Author says it was not only supporting, it actually played a predominant role. India played a predominant role in Second World War, especially from Britishers' side, right? So C is just opposite of what author says in the paragraph. D. It blames the war for leading to the momentous partition of the country. Author did not blame it, right? So author said it contributed to India's partition and it contributed to India's independence, right? So it did not say that, and it is actually not answering the question. The question is why India has not acknowledged it. So possibly now if you want to read it, the second paragraph, it says further, the political trajectory of the post-war subcontinent has militated against popular remembrance of the war. So जो trajectory हुआ उसने भी कहीं ना कहीं बहुत easily इसको militate. That means it prevented us from actually remembering Second World War contribution. With partition and the onset of Indian-Pakistan rivalry, both the nations needed fresh stories for self-legitimization rather than focusing on shared wartime experiences. Because of this, they conveniently forgot the contribution of Second World War. So here, this was the reason they did not acknowledge. All right? Question number 2. The phrase mood music is used in the second paragraph to indicate that the Second World War is viewed as. So this we have discussed quite extensively. Let's just go through the option. Setting the stage for the emergence of the India-Pakistan rivalry in the subcontinent. No, right? Outrightly eliminated. A part of the narrative on the ill effects of colonial rule on India. No, that's also not the answer. A tragic period in terms of loss of lives and national wealth, or a backdrop to the subsequent independence and partition of the region. Second paragraph again answers this question. It says, India remembers Second World War as just a mood music for the independence struggle, right? As if it was confined to that role only, whereas it actually played a bigger role. So here, as a backdrop to the subsequent independence and partition of the region will be the answer, right? It is also there in the second paragraph. The author lists all of the following as outcomes of the Second World War except. So author has talked about the consequences of Second World War. First, US recognition of India's strategic location and role in the war, right? So after the war was over, or after realizing the strategic importance of India, US started taking interest in India's location, ensuring that it is not only the preserve of Britain. So yes, A is something which is supported. That's why it is not the answer. The large financial debt India owed to Britain after the war. Now this is just the inaccurate representation. Large financial debt India owed to Britain or Britain owed to India. Just the opposite has been stated. Dramatic reversal of long-standing relationship, right? So that was clearly given in that paragraph that after this World War, Britain owed money to India. Whereas this statement is just a reverse. That's why this is the answer, because this was not the outcome. Just opposite of it was the outcome of the war. Let's read 3. Large scale death in Bengal as a result of deprivation and famine. Yes, it was given, right? Independence of the subcontinent and its partition into 2 countries. Yes, right? So that is also supported. Hence, answer is B. Question number 4. The author claims that omitting mention of Indians who served in the Second World War from the new National War Memorial is, first, is something which can be rectified in future by constructing a separate memorial. Nowhere in the passage author supports structuring a new memorial, right? A reflection of misplaced priorities of the post-independence Indian governments. Is that what you feel like when you read? Author has used a very disapproving term. He said absent-minded, right? So he does not question the whole idea of building a new war memorial. But absent-minded is used because possibly government has forgotten something, giving due respect or due recognition to the contribution of Second World War. All the wars have been taken into account. Second World War has easily been forgotten, right? So that's what he says. So here, misplaced priorities of the post-independence Indian governments is not what he actually means. It's too critical to be accepted as the answer because author did not have any kind of intent. C says, appropriate as their names can always be included in the Indian India Gate Memorial. He did not say anything of this kind. A reflection of the academic and popular view of India's role in the war. So, as conveniently in our academic and in our popular view, we have forgotten the contribution of our soldiers in the Second World War. This war memorial has also forgotten the contribution of that specific war, right? So, it is a reflection of the same thing which is happening in society is reflected in the idea of this new war memorial, right? So don't read what is not written. Don't understand what is not meant by the author, right? So a lot of students marked B for this answer because of this word absent-minded, assuming that author was highly critical of the government. He was critical because they conveniently forgotten the Second World War contribution, the soldiers' contribution to Second World War, hence India's contribution to Second World War, not the whole idea of erecting a new war memorial. Right? Last question. In the first paragraph, the author laments the fact. So laments is to feel sorry about something or to feel sad about something, to feel gloomy about something is lament. You lament on someone's loss, right? Now, what is he lamenting about specifically in the first paragraph? So we read the first paragraph. Towards the end, we understood what author feels sorry about. Let's read out the options. The new war memorial will be built right next to India Gate. That's not what he feels sorry about. There is no recognition of the Indian soldiers who served in the Second World War. Yes, let's hold it. India lost thousands of human lives during the Second World War. Yes, that's also true. But he feels sorry that despite so many losses or so many soldiers' losses, they have not been, it has not been recognized, right? So a lot of thousands of Indians lost their lives. That is definitely what he laments about. But in the first paragraph, he laments about not recognizing their contribution in the Second World War, right? So this was very confusing option. D. Funds will be wasted on another war memorial when we already have the India Gate Memorial. Again, he's not questioning the whole concept of erecting this war memorial. He says we already have a memorial, First World War, and now you are going to erect second memorial. But the contribution of soldiers in the Second World War is airbrushed, right? So that is the whole contention. That is his whole point of argument, right? So that is why answer is B. There is no recognition of the Indian soldiers who served in the Second World War, right? So you have a different monument for First World War. More loss happened in Second World War, but there is no recognition of it. All right. So we come to the end of this passage. I hope all the answers are clear. With that, I hope you also understood how a passage should be read. So if you paraphrase a passage, read each paragraph carefully, you will have to spend less time on answering the question, because after having a thorough read of the paragraph and the passage, you have a clear skeleton of the whole argument in your mind. You already understand what author has said about all these things, right? You can leave out the examples, but if you focus on the main idea, the whole picture is clear to you, right? With that, you approach the question. You eliminate the options, because if you have read the passage carefully, you will be in a position to eliminate at least two options. Whenever there is an ambiguity or scope of ambiguity, go through that paragraph again, read it out, and then finally mark your answer, right? With CAT passages, since they are perceived to be very difficult and complicated, though this passage was readable and quite understandable, it was not really complicated, even the questions were very fairly doable, right? But most of the passages which appear in CAT will pose some challenge, linguistic challenge as well as cognitive challenge to you. So you better paraphrase the passage, understand it, try to rephrase the entire message in your own language and then go forward and try to link the paragraph. With that, the whole passage will be clear to you. Approach the question, eliminate the options, and then go through the part again and finally mark the answer. That's the whole strategy to go with CAT passages. Alright. Now let's discuss some words which appeared in this passage, and with that I'll also give you some idea about the phrases which may appear. As I discussed some economic phrases the day before yesterday, in yesterday's session I discussed some more phrases. In today's session also I'll have discussion of some phrases. Now airbrush, which appeared in first paragraph, which said that between these two war memorial, the Second World War memorial is easily airbrushed. So airbrushed is to remove something, right? So when you brush something, basically, so you try to rectify, you try to correct the feature, right? So when you airbrush something, you try to remove it, right? So somebody had been airbrushed out of the picture. So somebody was there in the picture, but with airbrush, the person has been removed as if he was not there while the picture was taken, right? So that is how this war memorial for Second World War has been airbrushed, has been removed. An airbrushed photograph of a model, that means it has been rectified. It is not as good as it seems to be. So everything is airbrushed on the pictures which are put up on Facebook or other social media sites. Pictures and the images are airbrushed. That means they are morphed or they are doctored to look better, right? So they are not as good as they seem to be when they are put up on the websites. All right. So airbrush is to rectify. Incubus. Now, this word appeared in one of the paragraph which actually led to the India's independence because of all these problems which Britain was facing after Second World War, and back at home, like in India, it faced that turmoil because a lot of protests started to happen in India. It had to give independence to India. The Clement Attlee, the Prime Minister of India, had to decide to give freedom to India. Incubus. So incubus is basically a problem that makes you worry a lot, that troubles you a lot, and that troubles for a long period of time. So India actually became a trouble for Britain. So Britain owed a lot of money to India, and there was a lot of protest and agitation happening in India, which was beyond control, and in Britain did not have enough forces to deploy here because they lost a lot of soldiers in Second World War. So and because of other losses as well, they could not have enough resource to deploy in India to continue their colony or continue their empire here. So this was the problem that became an incubus for Britain. Hence, they decided to give India the freedom, right? So incubus is the word. Now, incubus in okay, fine. Incubus in psychology is also used as a term which has been applied to the type of nightmare that gives one the feeling of a heavy weight or oppression on the chest or stomach, right? So when you have a nightmarish experience that you suddenly wake up in the night, you feel as if something is oppressing you or something is stifling you, right? Or something is trying to strangulate you. So when you have this kind of feeling or imaginary feeling, right? That is also incubus. So same way you can understand that this feeling that something is troubling you, something is choking you, right? So that is also incubus. Alright? So from this passage, the word came as a problem which was troubling Britain. Incubus can also be understood in psychology, where a person who has this feeling that something is stifling him, especially when he sleeps. Trajectory. So trajectory, India's political trajectory or post-colonial trajectory. This is how the word was used in the paragraph. Basically, trajectory is the curved path of something that has been fired, hit or thrown into the air. So there is a revolver. So when you fire a bullet, so the bullet follows a trajectory, right? It goes in the direction it has been fired, so it follows a trajectory. So that is basically the trajectory. But in a figurative way, it is used like, the path, the course. Look at the sentence. My career seemed to be on a downward trajectory, right? So it has gone downwards, right? It follows the downward path. So trajectory is used in a figurative way in that context. So here political trajectory, the post-colonial period, political trajectory, that means after Britain liberated India, what happened in India and Pakistan. So political trajectory, that's how author has used the political course. It's nothing but course. The path followed by a projectile flying on an object moving under the action of given forces. The sentence, the missile trajectory was preset. Alright? Conception is the conception of this war memorial or building new war memorial was absent-minded, right? Absent-minded, that's what author said. So the conception is nothing but the understanding of something or the idea of something. So conception of something. Look at the example here. Marx's conception of social justice, right? So his idea of social justice, Karl Marx's conception of social justice. One more sentence. He has no conception of how difficult life is if you are unemployed. So he has no idea of how difficult life is if you are unemployed, right? So conception, idea. It's a very academic word. In colloquial language, you would say he has no idea how difficult life is if you are unemployed. He has no conception, right? So more academic. I had to reassess my conception that she was basically an honest person, right? So I had the idea she is an honest person, but now I have to reassess my conception. So I have to reassess my opinion about her. I had the understanding that she was an honest person, but now something has happened that has possibly startled me, and now I have to reassess my conception. Alright, so conception is nothing but an idea. Militate. Okay, so author used this word in the paragraph where he talked about why we have conveniently forgotten the contribution of our soldiers in Second World War, right? Because India and Pakistan wanted to have their independent identity. They started sharing their independent stories to reassert themselves or to legitimize their own existence. So this whole idea also militated the popular memory of Second World War. Militate is to go against. So India wanted to carve its own niche. Pakistan wanted to have its own identity. So this whole idea militated against the popular memory of Second World War. And because of this, we could not remember Second World War contribution. So to prevent something or to make it difficult for something to happen or exist. So militate has come from militant, right? So militant is a person who fights with his own army, right? A person who wages war against his own country. So that is militant, right? So we believe that Naxalites are militants because they are fighting with the law and order of their own country, right? And so this is how militant can be understood. So militate has come from militant only. So something which is self-destructive or something which goes against oneself is also is the meaning of militate. Now look at the sentence. The complexity and costliness of the judicial system militate against justice for the individual. Now, judicial system is there to give justice to people, but the whole structure of the judicial system militates against the justice. The complexity and the costliness of judicial system works against its own purpose, that is giving justice to people, right? So it is self-destructive. The whole structure of judiciary, complexity and the costliness is self-destructive. It is defeating its own purpose of delivering justice. All right. So militate against yourself. So if you are, let's say, doing something self-destructive, right? So if you are indulging in those habits, or if you are following some destructive pattern behavior, That means you are militating against yourself. You are doing something which is harming yourself, right? So militate can be understood that way. The supervisor's presence militated against a relaxed atmosphere. So it prevented a relaxed atmosphere to prevail in the office, right? So militate. Onset, I hope all of you know what onset means. Okay, so it's the beginning of something, but usually unpleasant thing, right? So onset is not the beginning of pleasant things. So the connotation of this word is negative. The onset of something, the moment at which something unpleasant begins, right? So the beginning of something, especially something unpleasant, the onset of disease, the onset of coronavirus, the onset of pandemic, the onset of lockdown, right? So the onset of old age, onset of winter, the onset. The new treatment can delay the onset of the disease by several years. All right? Deprivation. So you talked about the deprivation in Bengal, how many people lost their lives because of famine in Bengal, and all the resources were directed to the Second World War. That's why a lot of lives were sacrificed in India, back in India. Deprivation is the fact of not having something that you need. So deprive, noun form is deprivation. War deprivation, famine deprivation. The fact of not having something that you need, like food, money, or home. So basic things, essential things. The process that causes this is also deprivation. In the inner cities, you will find neglected children suffering from social deprivation. A study of the effect of sleep deprivation. So that means you are not able to have sound sleep, sleep deprivation. The deprivation of war. So here the word in the passage came for the deprivation of famine. The deprivation of war, the suffering caused by not having enough of something. The deprivation and hardship resulting from the blockade. Alright, the deprivation, the noun form of deprive, that means the loss or adverse circumstances. Churn. So the passage used this word because a lot of churning, turbulence happened back in India after Second World War. So Italy had to decide to liberate India, to give freedom to India. Churning. So basically, the literal meaning in the passage, the word was used in a figurative way. The literal meaning of the word is if water, mud, etc., other things which are mashy, which are watery, churn, it moves or is moved around violently. With a lot of force, it moves. So if there is a churning, so when you make buttermilk, you churn, right? So you churn that curd and you make buttermilk, right? So after churning only, you can, make that, that buttermilk, right? So that is what is churning. Churning the water or churning any liquid. The water churned beneath the huge ship. So because of the movement of ship, there was churning in the water. So that was kind of upheaval. There was a lot of movement. Vast crowds. Now here it is used in a figurative way. Vast crowds had churned the field into a sea of mud. So here, field has been turned into a sea of mud because there was a lot of fervent movement of people there, right? If your stomach churns or if something churns your stomach, you feel a strong, unpleasant feeling of worry or fear. That is also churning is used, right? My stomach churned as the names were read out. That means you're feeling jittery or nervous, right? So here, churning was used in a figurative way in the passage where the commotion, the turbulence which emerged in India after Second World War and which led to the freedom of India, right? So most of the time you will see that words in a figurative way will be used in the passage, right? So author is going to use them metaphorically or is going to coin new phrases, and he will use his inventive style to employ these words in the sentences. So you need to be aware of their literal meaning as well as their figurative meaning so that you can actually decipher the meaning in the sentence. Alright? So here I come to the end of today's session. I hope you revised the terms which we did in 3 sessions, like glass ceiling, white ceiling, laissez-faire, and what golden handshake is, what fringe benefits are, what white men's burden is, what reverse discrimination is, what apartheid is, what apartheid reversed is, right? And we also did some other phrases which are important in terms of philosophical passages, right? So I'll have one more session tomorrow, and day after tomorrow I'll have last session for CAT 9, CAT 2020. That is going to be the last minute tip for this exam, what you should be doing and what things you should be avoiding at the examination hall, right? So see you tomorrow, same time, 4:30. And do tell me if this session helped you in bringing more clarity in your strategy about solving the passage, and how you should paraphrase your passage and how you should approach the question. And do let me know if you want any other topic to be covered before your exam. All right. Thank you very much.